Elizabeth, you and I talk so often about the importance of good sleep for a balanced and happy life. And one of the great things about IKEA is they have solutions for the 6 sleep essentials: sound, light, air quality, room color and furnishings, and temperature, because that is what allows us to create the bedroom of our dreams that will support us in having that excellent sleep we need.
Gretchen, I love IKEA. I am so happy that there's one near my house because it's somewhere that Adam and I go often. IKEA provides the best-in-class comfort solutions, everything from mattresses to pillows to bedding. As always, IKEA prides itself on providing high-quality solutions at an affordable price. IKEA provides solutions for every budget. You can get whatever your bedroom needs at IKEA for a price you can afford. Are you trying to figure out what to eat for dinner yet again? With Nor sides and bouillon, you can whip up delicious and nutritious weeknight dinners in no time.
Yes, I am the biggest fan of Nor bouillon and of Nor taste combos. Nor taste combos are a menu of delicious, affordable, and well-balanced meals that you can prepare at home in 30 minutes or less. Nor is the not-so-secret ingredient, from its bouillon to its rice and pasta sides that brings major flavor to delicious home-cooked meals. Visit Nor.com to make your own delicious taste combo. It's not fast food, but it's so good. Hello and welcome to Happier, a podcast where we talk about ways to become happier. This week, we'll talk about a useful way to think about Labor Day, that annual holiday, and we will reveal an update that will make listeners extremely happy. It sure made me happy. I'm Gretchen Rubin, a writer who studies happiness, good habits, the 5 senses, secrets of adulthood, human nature. I'm in New York City in my little home office, and joining me today from Los Angeles is my sister Elizabeth Kraft, my sister the Sage.
That's me, Elizabeth Kraft, a TV writer and producer living in LA. And Gretchen, I'm actually coming to you from Ojai, where I am in my writing partner Sarah's Cloffice, which is a closet/office.
Is this a Roar 24, a 24-hour extreme work period?
Yes, exactly right. So I'm recording from Ojai.
Excellent. Well, before we jump in, here is an update. I wrote this at some point. Elizabeth, maybe you remember when I wrote this. I don't even remember because, of course, I am thinking about the empty nest and the open door because it's coming up quick. My daughter Eleanor is going off to college. So here is a haiku that I wrote. Where did the time go? My girl is off to college. Days are long, years short.
Ooh, I like that, Gretchen. Love a good haiku.
I have that 1-minute video, The Years Are Short, which people love. And this is the same idea expressed in haiku form.
Well, link to the video so people can see it.
I will link to the video. And this week, our Try This at Home tip is something that we've talked about before, but it's so valuable that we want to come back to it, which is to use the annual holiday of Labor Day as a catalyst to reflect on our own labor. And of course, in our work lives, we have paid work and we also have unpaid work. So Labor Day is a time to think about the whole picture of your work life.
When we always say September is the other January.
Yes.
It's the beginning of the year for many people. That feels like the beginning of the year.
It feels like the new year. In the United States this year, Labor Day falls on September 2nd. Traditionally, it's a day to celebrate the contributions and achievements of workers to the strength and prosperity of the country. But, it's also become kind of the unofficial end of summer and the beginning of the new year. I mean, how many times have you heard somebody say like, okay, well, we'll get to that after Labor Day? Or, people will be back at full steam after Labor Day. And so just like you can use Valentine's Day to think about your sweetheart or New Year's Day to think about what you want from the new year, I'm a huge fan of using the calendar as a catalyst for reflection, tying, because, things that can be done at any time are often done at no time. And so this is a time to remember to think, hey, are there big questions that I should be asking myself related to my work life?
Yeah, it can be hard in just everyday life to sit back and reflect and look at the future, look at the past. So it's good to set aside time to think about it so you don't miss out on the big picture because you're so in the weeds.
Right, exactly, which, happens to all of us. And of course, this matters for happiness because both paid and unpaid is such an important element of a happy life. So it's something we really need to think about if we want to be happier, healthier, more productive, more creative. I clerked for Sandra Day O'Connor, Justice O'Connor, and when I asked her, and when I told her that I was writing a book about happiness, this is when I was working on the Happiness Project, she said that her secret to happiness was work worth doing, which is such a great answer because work worth doing is so important. And this is a chance, again, think like, what is going on with my work life? Am I doing work worth doing? Could I be working better? All those kinds of questions.
So, Gretchen, we can think about what we could do better, what we might change, how we could grow, whether that's to do a side hustle school, write a spec script if you're in LA.
Yes.
Go to a networking event, avoid the vending machine at work, update your resume, or even start looking for a whole new job.
Yeah, I mean, so you can use Labor Day to think about something as big as switching careers or something. This is something I know that's been on your mind, Alyssa. You've mentioned it several times that you want to clean out your office.
Yes, I sure do. That would be nice to have a nice clean setting for my labor.
So as we're thinking about how can we be happier, healthier, more productive, more creative, sometimes it's helpful to have questions to sort of ask ourselves to reflect on. So here are some questions that might be useful. One is, what do you want to accomplish in your upcoming year of work? Like, are there a few things that you can really point to that are the major priorities?
Do you want to choose a one-word theme for your work aims?
Yeah.
Or a motto? Sarah and I have Roar 24 is our work theme this year.
I had one year, my one-word theme was repurpose because I have so much material. I wanted to find new uses for it. And I still think about that all the time. That really got me focused on that aim of my work life and helped to reset it. One year was converge. I don't think it was my official one-word theme, but it was a work theme, was converge.
Yeah.
And I did all that work to converge my newsletters, and everything just got cleaner and easier. It was better for readers. It was easier for me. It was easier to create. That idea of focusing on converge really helped me guide my work. And by the way, if you want to sign up for my newsletters, GretchenRubin.com/newsletter, you can sign up. I will post a link in the show notes.
And then it's fun to ask yourself, if you could magically achieve one aim in your work life over the next year, what would it be?
Right.
So would you magically learn a new software program, get a new boss, maybe switch careers?
Yeah. And I think it's helpful to put the word magically in there. In my Habit for Happiness quiz, a lot of times it said, if you could magically do something. And the reason that this is helpful is that we can consciously or even subconsciously hold back from bigger dreams or aims because we think about how hard it is. And so it can prevent us from really facing what we want. And so when this word magically is introduced, it kind of allows your imagination to go bigger because you're thinking, well, if I could just wave a magic wand, what would I want? And that can be clarifying. That doesn't mean that it's easy, but it's a clarifying way to frame the question.
Yeah, if only we did have magic to achieve these aims.
Do you know in the Met, there is something that is labeled magic wand.
Oh.
It's in the Egyptian wing, and it's there, and it's just labeled magic wand, and I love that. And I always have this fantasy of the movie where they're like, let's go get that magic wand, and they bust in, and from the Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Bates and E. Frank Weller, magic version. But I digress.
That. Yes. And then another question is, are you taking on duties outside your core role?
Right.
I guess whether that be because you want to or because they've been foisted upon you.
Yes, were you voluntold to do something that's really not your job? Well, and I think related to this is, are there tasks you can delegate? Like, are you doing things that really someone else could do? One place where I think this is very helpful is with parents, because I remember when I was at the pediatrician with Eliza and mentioned something about the orthodontist appointment, and the pediatrician, who's amazing, said to me, well, Eliza can just make her own orthodontist appointments and go. Like, you don't need to be doing that. And it was like, whoa, what a revelation. Like, I could delegate that to her.
Yes.
I didn't need to do that anymore, but I'd kind of forgotten that she was old enough. She was absolutely capable of doing that. But it hadn't occurred to me that I could delegate that work.
Yes. And then in your work life, do you use a piece of technology or equipment that's obsolete, but you haven't pushed yourself to deal with the hassle of replacement?
Yeah.
We all know excellent tools make work so much easier and more pleasant.
Yes.
Gretch, I have been guilty of this so many times. I mean, Sarah and I refused to use Google Docs for the
Yes.
longest time.
Yeah.
And I have been the person who didn't get an iPhone, didn't get an iPad.
Didn't you not want to upgrade your TV writing software? Wasn't there something about that too?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I had an old version of Final Draft and
Yes.
yes, all bad. You have to get with the whatever's happening now or else it'll make your life much more difficult.
Well, one of the things you wisely said, because you are my sister this age, is step into the future. And part of stepping into the future is staying up to date, which a lot of times it'll make your life easier in the long run, but it will make your life harder now. And so it's easy to just keep pushing these things off. So again, Labor Day is a thing to say, okay, I've been meaning to update Final Draft. Let me make this the deadline in my own mind.
Yes.
Well, and another thing is I think you could tie this into the write 24 and 24 to tap into a happier Labor Day. Like you could do writing, like if you're keeping a journal, you could focus on your work life. Maybe you're going to update your resume. That's a kind of writing that nobody enjoys doing, but is very important. If you're going to start a newsletter, you could be like, okay, this is my deadline. I'm going to start my newsletter around Labor Day. So it could tie into Write 24 and 24.
Yeah, Gretchen, it might be interesting for people to sort of, we talk about pop-up groups, like a pop-up book group. You could have a little pop-up work group where you get together with friends and discuss what are my goals. Because sometimes it's easier in a conversation than to just sit down and think about it.
Well, and then also people might throw out ideas. You know, one of the things we always say is ask for help. And it's strange how often it doesn't even occur to us to ask for help. But if you have all these people talking about it, I think that's a great idea. That would be super fun and interesting, and I bet really, really helpful. Okay, so Elizabeth, for you, happier Labor Day. What are you going to be thinking about this Labor Day?
Well, I feel like I want to just put myself in the zone because Sarah and I need to have an extremely productive fall.
You do.
So, you know, right now we're in all work August and it kind of needs to roll into September, October, November. Mm-hmm. So I'm really just going to try to focus myself on the tasks at hand.
So your happier Labor Day is about sort of clarity that this is pedal to the metal.
Yes.
Maybe it's a season of sacrifice.
I think it definitely is a season of sacrifice. And then one thing I want to do to manifest this, Gretchen, is I keep talking about cleaning my office. And I think maybe, you know, it's the thing of I should be more specific and then maybe it will get done. I think I need to start with clearing off my treadmill desk because right now it's in the phase of being piled high and I'm not using it.
Yeah.
So I need to clear it off so that day after Labor Day, I can like be on the treadmill desk and be working with Sarah and have all engines going.
Okay, well, watch out because you call me a happiness bully, and that is exactly the kind of thing that you can expect to get little texts from me like, happiness bully reporting for duty. Send me a photo of your treadmill desk.
Okay, well, good. I need you for that.
Okay. Oh, how I wish I could be there to help you.
How about you? What is your work thinking?
Well, you know, I've been talking about wanting to do a picture book, and this is something that keeps drifting to the bottom of my work to-do list. And I feel like it would be such a great kind of new thing. It ties into everything that I love. Elizabeth, we were both in Kansas City, and after you went and Jack went back to Los Angeles, I went to the Rabbit Hole, which is this immersive museum that's dedicated to picture books. It was the most extraordinary thing. There were exhibits that you could walk through that were the Great Green Room from Goodnight Moon. You could walk into the kitchen for Blueberries for Sal. They had May I Bring a Friend exhibit. I didn't know anybody other than me remembered May I Bring a Friend. There was Madeline. And anyway, it just got me very fired up. But I need to focus on this. I need to pull it up to the top of the to-do list.
Okay. And I'm going to the Rabbit Hole next time I'm in Kansas City.
It's so fun. But let us know if you do try this at home and how reflecting on a happier Labor Day works for you. Let us know on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Facebook, and use the hashtag Happier Labor Day so that everybody can see what everybody else is doing. We can all learn from each other. That's great. You can also drop us an email at podcast@gretchenrubin.com, or as always, you can go to the show notes. This is happiercast.com/495 for everything related to this episode.
Coming up, we have a gym hack, but first, this break. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. And on the app, it lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs and gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workout, sleep, and even stress management. All you have to do is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning, and you'll know what's going on with your metabolism, whether you're burning mostly fat or carbs.
And then Lumen gives you a personalized nutrition plan for that day based on your measurements. Lumen is so easy to use. Elizabeth, you know I'm fascinated by the subject of metabolism. I love anything that gives me more insight into what's going on with my metabolism. I find it very easy and interesting to use. So if you want to take the next step in improving your health, go to lumen.me/happier to get 15% off your Lumen. That is lumen.me/happier for 15% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode.
All right, Gretch, we are back with this week's happiness hack, and it's about going to the gym.
Well, this was inspired by a friend of mine who moved to a new neighborhood, and she was saying, okay, there's this gym, and I was planning to join, but now that I'm going there like a few times, I realize everybody is so fit, they're so intense, they're so into it. It's just not the gym for me, so I'm not going to go to the gym. And I said to her, like, well, there's lots of, at least in New York City, and I think it's true in LA, it's true in Kansas City. I know this in Kansas City. There's a lot of different kinds of gym. If that's a kind of environment that you like to go to the gym. Jamie, my husband, loves to like go to the gym. Really look and think about, well, what do you want? Because one thing is some people really like loud, energizing music. I don't like anything rackety. I don't like that. Some people like lots of choices. Some people like very few choices and a very targeted thing. Some people like classes. Some people like to work on their own. Because I think she was just like, well, this is the gym that I see, and I don't like that gym. Therefore, I can't go to the gym in my neighborhood. And so I think that it's just to recognize that in a lot of places, not every place, of course, but in a lot of places, there are more choices than you might think once you start really looking around. And so you might be able to find something that really suits your nature. People who like Pilates, it's like it's more quiet and peaceful and in control. Elizabeth, you've talked about Orange Theory. That's a completely different kind of environment.
I mean, I will say about the gym, Gretch, I joined once a gym in LA and I never went because I hated their parking.
Oh, see, there you go.
And it's that little thing can keep you from going. So you do want to find what's right for you.
Yes, but that's a great example. It might be something, the convenience of it, all these things matter. So don't give up. Don't write it off just because the first one that you check out is not to your taste. Because if you're fortunate enough to live in a fairly reasonable sized city, then you probably have more choices than you might realize.
All right, Gretchen, it is time for a Know Yourself Better question.
Well, this is super fun. Elizabeth, we were introduced to this on our hiking trip in partnership with Wilderness England. We went on our hiking trip in England. And one day during one of our hikes, our guide, Jeremy, told us about the Celtic Tree system.
Yeah, Gretchen, it was super fun. We all loved the idea of being associated with a tree.
Yeah.
And it was just a fun conversation because it makes you think about yourself.
Yes.
Even if the description doesn't feel accurate, it makes you kind of think, well, what am I like?
Well, and that's why I think things like this are such great tools of self-discovery, why they make good Know Yourself Better questions, because even if you disagree, there's sort of clarity in disagreement because you're like, actually, that's not true. Or it just gives us a different way of looking at ourselves. It kind of the history of the idea of this framework is very complicated. So we're not going to get into that. But we thought it would be fun to just share the idea that this is a fun thing to know about. And Elizabeth, we will read our tree readings. And these are taken from One Tree Planted, which is a great organization that we partnered with for Go Outside a few years ago. And I'll post the link where they list what the trees mean, the significance of the trees.
Yeah. So Gretchen, I'm May 19th is my birthday. So for anyone born between May 13th and June 9th, your tree is the hawthorn.
Yes.
And here's what it says. Their external and internal personas can be quite different from one another. While they live seemingly average lives, hawthorns carry fiery passions and inexhaustible creative flames internally. They are well-adjusted and can adapt to most life situations. You are naturally curious and have an interest in a broad range of topics. You are an excellent listener and people seek you out as an outlet to release their burdens. You have a healthy sense of humor and a clear understanding of irony. With your amazing insight, you have a strong ability to see the big picture. Well, Gretch, I will take that.
I think that sounds pretty good. I don't
Yeah.
know that I think that your external and internal persona are that different from each other, but everything else, the inexhaustible creative flames and
Aw.
being a good listener and all that, I thought that sounds pretty good, pretty accurate.
I definitely have a clear understanding of irony, so
Yes.
I agree there.
Yeah, and a good sense of humor. Right. Well, Elizabeth, when we were hiking, I got an amazing picture of you standing under a hawthorn tree, like embracing your hawthorn nature. So I'll post that in the show notes for anybody who wants to see you by the hawthorn tree.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite pictures of the trip. So, Gretchen, what is your tree?
Okay, so my birthday is December 14th, so I'm an elder tree. That's for people who are between November 25th and December 23rd. It says, elder types tend to be freedom-loving and sometimes appear to be a bit wild compared to other Celtic tree astrology signs. In younger years, you may have lived life in the fast lane and as a thrill seeker. You are often misjudged as an outsider, as you have a tendency to be withdrawn despite your extroverted nature. You tend to be very considerate of others and you genuinely strive to be helpful. These acts of assistance are sometimes thwarted by your brutal honesty. Listen, I'm not sure I think that is as spot on as yours was. What do you think?
No, I don't see you as the freedom loving, a bit wild compared to other tree signs.
And I don't think I ever lived in the fast lane or was a thrill seeker.
No, but you are considerate and you do strive to be helpful.
That's true.
I don't know if I'd say you're brutally honest. I do think you're honest. But yeah, I think mine was more accurate than yours. But it's interesting because Jack, my son, is in this and our dad is in this as well.
That's true.
And I wouldn't say that's necessarily true for any of them.
Interesting.
Jack is not a thrill seeker, and I wouldn't call Dad a thrill seeker.
No. But we all genuinely strive to be helpful.
That you do, that's for sure.
That's true. Well, this is just fun. It was a fun thing to do as a group because it got everybody talking and sort of comparing like, oh, yes, I think that's true of you. And, it's kind of an icebreaker. It's fun. And it is a good tool. I think all of these things are tools for self-knowledge because they do give us sort of an indirect light in thinking about our qualities. And sometimes maybe might help us recognize strengths that we didn't recognize or strengths that we don't have at all.
Yes. All right, coming up, I'm giving myself a big gold star, but first a spring. Shifting my wardrobe from summer to fall is always a challenge. Luckily, Quince offers timeless and high-quality items I adore, ensuring my wardrobe stays fresh and I don't blow my budget. Gretchen, both of us absolutely love Quince's Mongolian cashmere sweaters, which come in so many great colors. My goal for fall is to get the green color that you have.
Yes, Elizabeth, I brought that green sweater on a recent trip together and you were eyeing it. Quince has cashmere sweaters for $50, pants for every occasion, washable silk tops, and so much more. And the best part, all Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Make switching seasons a breeze with Quince's high-quality closet essentials. Go to quince.com/Gretchen for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/Gretchen to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Gretchen.
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. A new school year is starting soon, and personally, I can't believe I have a 9th grader on my hands. If you're a parent, you want to make this new school year an opportunity for your kids to learn important life skills and continue building independence. For that, I recommend Greenlight.
Greenlight is a debit card and money app for families where kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely, and parents can keep an eye on kids' new money habits. Then there's Greenlight's Infinity Plan, which includes the same access to financial literacy education that makes Greenlight a valuable resource for millions of parents and kids, plus built-in safety to give you peace of mind.
Jack has Greenlight, and it was so great that when he was on a trip to Japan, I was able to just keep track of what he was spending, but he felt very much in control of his finances.
Sign up for Greenlight today and get your first month free when you go to greenlight.com/happier. That's greenlight.com/happier to try Greenlight for free. Greenlight.com/happier. I want to let you all in on a little secret. As a family, we used to waste hours a week going up and down the grocery aisles for the best, freshest fruits, vegetables, meats, and still be disappointed. Now we use FreshDirect. We love FreshDirect. We save so much time every week. We can grocery shop from the office, from the couch, anytime we want. We've used it for years.
FreshDirect is farm to kitchen, food sourced directly from farmers, fishermen, and ranchers and delivered straight to your door. For over 20 years, FreshDirect has been delivering the freshest fruits, vegetables, and meats to the tri-state area. Don't take our word for it. Try it to believe it with $50 off your first order. Go to freshdirect.com and use code HAPPIER. That's freshdirect.com, code HAPPIER for new customers to save $50 on their first order. Terms and restrictions apply. See site for details. All right, Gretchen, it is time for Demerits and Gold Stars. You are up this week with a happiness demerit.
Okay, this is a demerit related to the open door empty nest phase. And so, as I said, Eleanor's leaving soon. And I kind of got in my head this fantasy of what these last days would look like. And first of all, I did not communicate this fantasy to anybody else, which was a major oversight on my part. And also, it was like, what am I talking about? You know what I mean? Like, why am I deciding that things need to be a certain way? They need to be the way they need to be. And I think I'm much better served by rolling with it and being open and just enjoying this time, these last days, and not getting overly focused on having them look a certain way or be a certain way. We often talk about the fantasy self and, you know, how I had to let go of my linen cocktail napkins fantasy self. But I think I had like a family fantasy self, that this is what it would be. And once I said to myself, you know what, let go of the fantasy and just think about like, let's just make the most of this time and really enjoy it and enjoy each other. Then I felt enormous relief because I wasn't trying to control everybody and I wasn't feeling resentful when people had different ideas of like, when are we going to go to Target? It's like, it doesn't matter when we go. We'll go. We'll get what we need. So anyway, but I give myself a demerit for taking some time to, I would say, come to a fairly obvious conclusion.
Well, I'm glad you're talking about this right now because I think a lot of people are in your same position and need to hear this.
Yeah, maybe. But Elizabeth, we need a drum roll. Chuck, give us a drum roll. Okay. Elizabeth, I was so happy to hear this. I think our listeners will be so happy to hear this and also quite relieved to hear this. Tell us your gold star.
Gretchen, Adam and I officially signed our will.
Yay!
It is signed, notarized. It is official.
Yes.
I have been talking about this on the podcast for at least 5 years.
Yes,
if
you have.
not more.
Yep.
Put it on my list of things I want to do in whatever year, get our will done. We have felt like such irresponsible parents. We're always saying to each other, we have to get our will done. It's not a complicated will. It's just a will that needed to be done.
Yeah.
And our directives, etc. Well, it is all done. I don't have to think about it again. I am so happy. I have to say, so many listeners wrote in with suggestions about easy ways to accomplish this, about things to think about, encouragement.
Yeah.
So everybody, thank you for your tips and encouragement, and it is done. So I can move on.
Yes. Well, that's something big to cross off your 24 for 24 list, right? It's been a standing item. Okay, so here, one question, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Do you think that the fact that you did keep it on your list and you rolled it over year to year, do you think that it did make you more likely to get it done? Or do you think that, because I think sometimes we kind of want to forget that something needs to be done because it just, you're like, ugh, I don't even want to think about it. So you don't think about it.
Yeah, well, definitely having it on my list made a difference because it would just keep coming up and it was something I knew was important.
Right.
So that I couldn't just let it slide, but definitely I think having it on the list was helpful.
Yes.
Even though it took a few attempts
Yes.
to get it done.
So everybody, I call those boomerang errands where you think you're getting something done and it's like, but wait, there's one more thing you have to do or figure out.
Yes.
And you're like, oh my gosh.
Because as I have said on the podcast, we had started the process ages ago, but we didn't complete it.
So listeners, if this inspires you to get your will done, please let us know. That would be so satisfying for everyone. It feels good. Right, Elizabeth? Don't you feel good?
I feel very relieved. Very good.
Excellent. Well, the resource for this week, as I mentioned earlier in the episode, one of the most popular things that I've ever written or done, I think something that has resonated most with people, is a little story that I wrote called The Years Are Short, and I made it into a video. And so if you would like to watch that, you can go to happiercast.com/years are short. That's one word. I recently updated the video. And again, I think of everything I've ever created, this is the thing that people mention to me the most. And it certainly feels very relevant to me in these last days before Eleanor goes.
Yes, I love that video.
So Elizabeth, what are we reading? What are you reading?
I'm reading Tell Me Everything by Elizabeth Strout.
And I am reading The Library at Mount Char by Scott Hawkins. And that's it for this episode of Happier. Remember to try this at home. Use the annual holiday of Labor Day as a catalyst to think about your own labor. That can be your paid work, your unpaid work, any work you do. Let us know if you tried it and if it worked for you, and what are you thinking and reevaluating in your work life.
Thank you to our executive producer, Chuck Reed, and everyone at Odyssey. Get in touch. Gretchen's on Instagram, Threads, Facebook, and TikTok at Gretchen Rubin, and I'm on Instagram and Threads at Liz Craft. Our email address is podcast@gretchenrubin.com.
And if you like the show, please be sure to tell a friend, follow us, and review us. Here is your rhyming reminder. This one is about leaving reviews. Reviews really do help, by the way. And we're asking for those 5-star reviews. Please leave them. People do look at them to see how many reviews you have. Here it comes. Love the show? Leave a review to let us know.
Until next week, I'm Elizabeth Craft.
And I'm Gretchen Rubin. Thanks for joining us. Onward and upward. Elizabeth, I practically feel like buying a ticket to Los Angeles to help you clear your office.
Gosh.
You know, like the last time we did it, I had so much fun.
Oh my gosh.
You know, you would be happy if I did, though you might not actually look forward to me arriving.
But oh boy, I would be happy you'd been there. That is for sure.
If you want to FaceTime me and just have me like yelling over your shoulder from the phone, I will gladly volunteer for that.
All right, maybe we need to get that on the schedule.
From the Onward Project.